Good morning. This is Sweetie Berry with the Women of Dare Whimsy. Each week we gather together to discuss conversations that we have about being gifted and creative women in business and at home and in life. You know, having gifted abilities and gifted thinking, what we call well-able thinking, presents some different opportunities to grow as people who work with general population as well as other gifted people. But most importantly, we are a community that helps understand giftedness, and we look forward to being with you each week. Today's conversation is about what if the value of success was based on how much you enjoyed and experienced this day. Not someday, not the end of a project, but this day. What if the dynamics, the parameters of how we evaluated our lives was based on each period of 24 hours only with no accomplishment being built forward to forward? How would that change the things you choose today? How would that change the way you perceive the time value of today? And what would you choose differently? Should be some interesting answers today, and I'm going to pitch it first to Dr. Edith Johnson, who is so well able to talk about what it's like to be a multi-talent, a gifted and talented person, as well as a helping professional who helps us understand better how to survive this life of ours. Good morning, Dr. Edith.
Good morning, Miss Sweetie. And good morning to all the rest of the women here at Dare Whimsy, both with us in the morning and out there in the crowd watching now or later. You know, when it comes to success and what we value, it's really important to come back to those values. If you look at just the saying, the definitions of success and what society defines it, it can become overwhelming. It can become like a have to, a necessity, a push, and may not define at all where we're at. So if we do come back and look at our values and look at today, we can be a success in the first 10 minutes of our morning. If we took a deep breath, if we notice the sun rising, if we notice the joy around us with the family members and those that we interact with, that's a success in itself. We're taking that time to notice and be aware of what's around us, who we are, what we're experiencing at that time. As we go through the day and we look through it, there's some really key important times, and those are transition times. So how are you getting up? How are you preparing for the day? That creates your whole aspect and perception of success for that day. As you begin to interact with others, family members, school, work, whatever it is, have you done the transition from being at home with yourself to being where you're interacting with others? Are you prepared? Is that important to you? If you're able to go from 1,400 things I've got to do today to, all right, I'm here at this moment, and at this moment, it's like for this morning, I had 2 granddaughters here. I need to focus on them and what they need. And so that was joyful. It also made the day peaceful because I wasn't trying to figure out the rest of the day. I just wanted to go forward with that moment, with them, so that we can engage and be able to move forward. As you go through the day, planning transitions is important, and it's important for you then to be able to be fully in that moment, which gives you that peace and lets you know, am I achieving what it is I want to achieve today? And even before you start the days, as we talk about values, what is important to you at the moment, so that you can look at how you plan that into each day, so that those priorities of your values go into those days. That means success can be very, very simple. And if you're approaching it with an attitude of gratitude, with an attitude of thankfulness, with an attitude of intention, and with an attitude of connection, you will see that the other things that society may define, and you may have important too in your definition of what success is, will be part of what you experience. So we can go through and say, all right, today my value is, and my value has always been family. That definition or the time commitment to family has changed over times, depending on the period of my life. So today, because I have my grandchildren with me, I'm very focused on family. Other days when I don't have the grandchildren here, and because I am in my own household alone, then I can focus on me, and that's the primary person to focus on. My awareness of all the family is still there, but it's not that intense focus that family's number one. This week, family's number one again. Next week, I can shift it to some of my other values because of the fact that my interaction at that moment decreases because of the phase of my life. So looking at your values allows you to begin to think what is important to me, and therefore, when am I at a success? When have I achieved that integration of those important things and factors into my life? Now, I know Gail Riley can talk to us about the importance of looking at values and success through age spans, through varied generations. So let's hear what Gail has to say at the moment.
Thanks, Edith, and good morning to everyone, sweetie, Sarah. You've really had me thinking, Edith, as I was listening, because you brought up so many great points, especially with the family, with your granddaughters being there this week, and how your focus is on them and the time with them, because as we all know, pretty soon they will be grown up and they will be gone in the sense of they will be off doing other things, and these times with them when they are little girls is so precious because the wisdom that you share with them is absolutely priceless, the wisdom that you garner from them as well. And so you're right, the intergenerational contact is to me a sign of success. If you can pull people together to share your life with them, that is my value system. That is critically important to me as a sign of success. You know, I was thinking as you were talking about a friend of mine that passed away. She was 56 years old. She passed away right before Thanksgiving of last year. And I remember the conversations we had about success. She had a business, an accounting business that she enjoyed very much. But her focus was on her twin daughters. She was a single mother. And the fact that now they're 23 years old and doing well. Now, yes, they lost their mother, but that was her prime motivation in getting up in the morning, is to see that those girls developed into the best people they could be. She didn't have a lot of excess money to share with them, but she had time and wisdom, and she shared it all the time. One of the girls wrote to me that one of the things she remembers is joining her mother and I for lunch. This was way back when they were 7, 8 years old. And she said, "Miss Gail, we tried to pretend like we weren't listening, but we were taking in your conversations, even if we didn't understand them." And that's so valuable to me. Ooh, that just kind of makes me real emotional talking about it. But I'm sure you understand my point, is that that is of value to me, to be able to pass on to the younger generations, to share with them. And that's that's my definition of success. Sarah, I know you have something to say, and let me get my emotions back together.
Thank you so much for sharing, Gail and Dr. Edith. It's so interesting when we share our definition of success and we talk about what really connects us deeply, rather than looking at everybody else's scoreboards and defining our success by everyone else. When we connect with what deeply brings us peace and what deeply makes our heart sing and what allows us to feel like we're really alive in this life and that we're living in our gifted zone, it does get us sometimes choked up. I know when I think about success for me, it means a lot more family time. It means a lot more time to serve. It means a lot more time with my Heavenly Father and with Christ. And it means taking time to really be well and emotionally, physically, spiritually, health, all those different things are a component of wellness. And having had experiences in our family with long-term illness and cancer and depression and lots of different things, it's been a real joy for me to experience wellness, and not just on a physical level, but on an emotional and spiritual level as well, and to find how much life becomes so much more worth living when you have your health, but also when you have a passion for why you're, why you're living. And as we've looked at this next year, for me personally, I really love the scripture John 10:10, and to me that is what success is, to live life abundantly and to really enjoy every aspect of the things that are deeply on my love list. To enjoy nature, to enjoy eating around the dinner table, to enjoy wealth in all facets of life, and to take actions that matter so that you can have that life full of joy and full of peace. And so as I begin each day, it's a lot more quiet now, and it's a lot more time being still and thinking about what it is that I want to have happen and setting intentions for that day, so that as I'm working through the day, I'm working more from a heart-centered place and more from an intentionality place rather than just putting out fires. And as a mom of 3 with multiple businesses and a husband who's a professor as well as an author and a book being ready to be launched, there's so many fires to put out. And I could do that all day long, just put out fires and just respond. But life is more successful and I have more joy when I'm working from a place of being proactive and a place of living with intention and acting with intention. And so when we take those actions that matter to our success, we are able then to create the success that's really important on our terms. And we're also able to help model success for our children and for the people that are watching. And we don't really often know all the people that are watching. In fact, this weekend, I was at a conference and someone said, I kind of stalk you on Facebook. And I kind of laughed at that. And I said, oh, you do you? And so she just went on to talk about the things that I do with my family and the things that I do and how inspiring that was to her. And it really took me back because I didn't realize that was what people were doing. And people are doing the same for each of us. People watch us and they look at how we live our life with integrity. And they look at how we define success. And sometimes that gives them more courage to live their lives with integrity and to redefine success to be on their own terms as well. So I'm really embracing this year and living courageously and defining success in a way that matters to me, where it's more peaceful and joyful. How about you, sweetie? What do you have to share with us?
Well, I think that if today's measure was how peaceful today is, I might just be in trouble. So I might have failed the course on a peaceful life today. I am in Nashville, Tennessee, in a hotel room with a heavy shoot schedule today. And, that's just not a peaceful place. And since we're in the process of writing a book called Actions That Matter, let me share a few insights from in the heat of the fire moments. All of us have 3 things that we deal with all the time. Our permissions, the permission that we run in our head to be who we are. Sometimes that permission is altered by a need to please someone. Sometimes the permission we give ourselves is contained by something we were taught in childhood. Maybe someone said you're not enough, or someone said you'll never do this or that, or someone said you always do something, and you started ingraining their words into your choices and permissions. I work as a strategist with so many women and companies where someone said something offhand at the age of 4 to 7, and they probably didn't even mean it in a very obtrusive way, but that person internalized it, and it became a boundary permission for their life. Much like the old story of the daughter who cooked a ham in 2 different pans, and the husband said, "Why are you cooking that in 2 pans and cutting a brand new ham in half?" And so she said, "We always did. I always understood that to be the way it is done. That's how we cook hams in our family." And so the husband went at Easter to ask the mother-in-law, why is it she does that? And she said, "Oh, we just had a tiny little pan when I first got married, so I had to do that to make it fit." But a whole generation of meals were served the same way because of a missed permission to use what matters and what fits. 3 things happen. We have a permissions level, we have a perspectives level, and we have a personal and professional strategy level of experience. Sometimes it's not a lack of ability, it's a lack of awareness. And so much of our lives, we may be unaware that there's a different way we can do it. I love how Gil Roddy continually reminds me to just stop and take 3 deep breaths. You know, I have enacted that into so much of the last 42 days while I'm working on a very large national campaign, because I'm very good at modulating and keeping things on schedule and delivering things on time. But I have not been good at taking deep breaths throughout the day, and sometimes throughout every 15 minutes on this one. Our permission level needs to be for self-care. Our permission level needs to be for taking care of yourself first, just like on an airplane when you give yourself oxygen first so you can help the community around you. In your daily life, in this 24 hours of measuring what matters, that you had a good day. You know, it's the day you have, and we don't have any other day that will be today. I love watching Sarah cook. The last few months, she has just had so many blessings in her life happen, and they came through hardship. They really did. They had an unexpected move. They had an unexpected diagnosis in their family. They had an unexpected change in vehicles after purchasing a vehicle. They've had some real challenging things. But through going through those processes, she has learned and grown so much for the actions that matter. And now I hear every single day or week when we catch up, you know, I'm just loving my life. And that's the purpose of today's conversation. Are you loving your life? Are you choosing permissions and projections and strategies that create this life that you love? Because it is the one we have. I know for me personally, I'm in a very temporary surge. But even in the surge of doing this project for others, one of my clients, that I also am aware that each day I've got to course correct. And that can happen every hour of the day. I just set an alarm a few minutes ago. Gail Roddy was with me on the phone earlier. And I said, I didn't start today well. I didn't protect me well enough. So I just set a little alarm on my phone, and it's going to ring 10 minutes to the hour, so that I will not be pushing so hard for the next hour's live shoot. I have a little silent reminder. It's going to rattle in my pocket that says I need to step out of the studio a moment. I need to take a deep breath and get ready to run again. Because as the producer, as the strategist, my internal control, my internal peace not only affects my health, my life, my enjoyment, my laughter level, but it really shows the whole rest of our team that it's okay where we are. And don't you want to live in a space that's okay where you are? You know, so many things just don't change overnight. Maybe you've got financial issues. Maybe you've got learning issues. Maybe it's a season of life where the baby doesn't sleep. But this 24 hours, you have permission to do things that make your life comfortable. Maybe that's using a certain mug. Maybe that's turning on your favorite music while you do the work you must do. Maybe that's turning off the television and just enjoying silence for 5 minutes after everyone leaves your office. Start noticing. Let's start noticing right now. Today is the day that it matters. What could, if you imagine right now, what would make today a better day? Why can't you do it? Dr. Edith, talk to us more about this permissions thing, because so many people I'm dealing with in strategy coaching and even in the brand build-outs, they have preconceived notions of what their life is allowed to be. Sometimes it's about hours that they work. Sometimes it's about the money they're allowed to earn or keep. What is it about this permissions that's so hard for people to transition out of?
Well, many times when we look at permissions, we haven't looked at all the aspects of what's involved in that. So we only have permission to do this. That's what we've already accepted. But if we look at it, then that's tied to an emotion. And with it tied to emotion, then it becomes a have to and a should do. But then if we look at the different perspectives around that particular situation, that particular word, that particular dynamic, that particular interaction. And let's use money at the moment because we're talking about success. Money's tied very much to emotions. And yet if we look at it as just as a way to exchange and be acknowledged for a service we've given, then that can come in several forms and not just money. And if we acknowledge that there's different ways that we can receive that, we can give ourselves permission to earn monies, and that's not a horrible thing. And there's those that have money, and that's okay too. Money is not the bad word. It's a matter of our perspective. Do we have permission to earn it? Do we have permission to receive it? Is that honoring us, and are we honoring the other person by accepting it? So that's when we look at permissions. We need to look at what is our value around that? What is that facts about it? With a lot of gifted women, I'll use de Bono's thinking hats. And why? It's because then they can take a particular situation, a particular issue, and look at it from, okay, what are the facts? What's the big picture? What's my emotions around it? What do I need to be cautious about? You know, what's the growth part of it? And what's the joy in it? And if we look at all those aspects, oh, that's all coming from inside of me. I do have a choice, which means then I can give myself permission and be able to say yes or even no to what's going on at that moment, and allow ourselves to change, engage, be more at peace, and actually have more consistency of success and acknowledge it and know it. Gail, what would you like to add?
Thanks, Edith. I was thinking about what you were saying. You brought up the whole issue of money, because isn't that where in our culture we have kind of predetermined what success is for several generations now? Your success if you make a lot of money, and secondarily if you have notoriety and acclaim. But money really has been the determiner. And I think that that's why we are all coming together as gifted girls to kind of debunk that whole notion that success has to be about money. Because we know we have talents. We know we have talents that run the whole spectrum of helping people, of helping ourselves, and of making money. And so it's kind of like just turning that around, that there's, as you said, there's nothing wrong with making money. But if that's our only criteria for success, well, we've shown in this culture that that's kind of, it's not bringing people peace and happiness across the board. Not saying that it isn't at all. Money is a great tool. Money is energy, and if you put your gifts out there, they are definitely going to produce money if they are put out in a way that that helps a lot of people. But if that's our only criteria for success, we've shown that that isn't making people happy and at peace. And we've been talking about this now through the whole show, is that we've clearly focused in on what we want for success is to have peace and to have joy, to show that to our children and the people around us, because it's not only infectious, but it gives people, there's that permission again. It gives others permission to have that. Because we do kind of go around with this thought that, well, they don't have peace and joy, so I guess I won't have peace and joy. I remember someone said that to me many years ago. They said, well, Gail, what makes you think that you should have peace and joy when I don't? This person actually said that. I remember that was at least 25 years ago. And I did reply, but I thought to myself, because that's what I want in my life. If you don't choose that or don't think you can have it, that's fine with me. But I choose to have a different life. I choose to have peace. I choose to do what nourishes me and nurtures me, both my body, my mind, and my spirit. It's a choice. We always talk about that. Sweetie talks to me about that all the time. That choice, not choosing, is a choice as well.
I love that, Gail. I think it's so important that we really do, as I love to say in workshops, choosing is a choice. And you know, my experience is, whether I'm working with young moms trying to get their household under control, or whether I'm working with the CEO of a company launching a new product, that your priorities are acted out in your life. And some of us give a lot of good lip service about wanting peace in our life, but our actions that matter don't prioritize peaceful family interactions, peaceful work interactions, and peaceful engagement with ourselves. You know, someone said, I think it was Maya Angelou that said, that if you can't love yourself, I don't trust you. There's a lot of that. It's hard to trust that somebody loves you if they don't love themselves. And so part of our roles as women, as mothers, as sisters, as aunts, as businesswomen, as cohorts, really is affected heavily by, are we finding peace in ourselves? It doesn't matter to me whether you're Christian, non-Christian, believe in the universe. That's your personal choice. But it still shows up in how you personally determine your life. If your life is determined, just every day in chaos, it may be time to restart. And so many people this time of year restart with the 1st of January. But the truth is, you can restart throughout your day. I'm already 100% calmer than I was about an hour and a half ago when a lot of technical glitches were happening. I had a studio track. There just wasn't room to do what I need to do. But like Gail has taught us to do, I stopped and I breathed a few minutes. Even at the beginning of the show, I asked one of the girls to keep talking first instead of me so I could just breathe a moment, get back into my head, get back to the place, which this is one of my favorite places to be with some of my favorite people. And through doing that, I'm able to restart the day differently. You can do that right where you are. Sometimes you can do it by watching a video. Sometimes you can do it by just turning the videos off and the radio off and Facebook off. In fact, one of the things I encourage people to do this time of year, anytime they're trying to restart peace in their life, turn off social media. Decide you're going to check your Facebook one time a day. Ignore it the rest of the day. Turn off the television unless you have a really wonderful movie or something that really encourages you to watch or something that's special to you. Turn off the interruptions. Turn off the distractions. Set your cell phone not to send dings or rings during the time you're trying to do something. You'll just be amazed how much peace it brings. Step outside. Go take a walk, even 5 minutes. If it's too bad outside to go, step around in your house. Do some jumping jacks. Just stop and get within yourself. Get in relationship with yourself. We've talked about before that some people do yoga, some people do meditations, some people use exercise, some people play the piano, but find an activity that brings peace and joy to you so that you can look at the end of the day and say, if this is my last, if this is my only, it's a good day. Because you know what? We're spending them, and they're not replaceable. And more importantly, you're not replaceable, and your experience matters for you, even above everything else pulling at you. Because ultimately, this is the only life we have. And part of that parameter of your permissions, of your priorities, of your perspectives, that's important to know, that they affect what you're doing. And if you need some personal or professional skill work to learn how to manage those differently or to have some new hot tips on how to get there, there are places to get that. There are people who can help you with that. Just all kinds of tips, of techniques. No is a full sentence. By the way, you don't have to explain yourself. You can just say no. In my case, I say no, thank you. And whether or not the person still expects a response, you just don't have to give them one. It's just not necessary. Now, of course, if you're a work person and you're going to a boss and he has to do something and you say no, you might should consider how important it is to let them understand why you said no. But in so many situations, in so many daily interactions, when that woulda, coulda, shoulda, you have to voices come up, you can simply say, no, my priority is ease today. My priority is peace today. My priority is completion of what I'm focused on today. And that will empower and energize and engage you at such a more prosperous level in your daily living. Now, we're just out of time, and I want everyone to know that this year, as opposed to just on Thursdays after the Dare Whimsy on Wednesday, we're going to be having articles that come out every single day of the week. And there's a very special RSS feed when you sign up at darewhimsy.com that will get these encouraging messages, these perspective messages, every single day. We also are going to have some powwows. We're going to have some tribal gatherings of where we talk together in a girlfriend kind of format, living room ladies kind of format, times where we just have a Saturday morning brunch together. I've been asked over and over again last year that we have a brunch online so that people can literally go grab their breakfast yogurt or whatever they eat and have a 45-minute time of women communing together. And we are looking so forward to Gail Roddy leading us in some of those, Dr. Edith Johnson leading us in some of those. It's going to be a paper thing so that we can really honor the fact that we're asking for people's professional times to share and lead us in professional and personal strength training and skills for how to live a better life. But we are excited to be part of it, and I promise you'll spend more money outside your house on a cup of coffee than you will engaging this experience. And we will so enjoy you being here. We've had so many of you write in asking for day-long workshops and regional workshops, and we may do that someday too. But right now, we're going to honor the need to keep this easy and do it online. And that way, everyone can travel straight to their computer like you are right now and join us. Look forward to being with you next week. Visit our writing at darewhimsy.com, and thank you for coming today.